Last Week was Friday is a podcast launch where four dudes talk about career stories and how they're going into it, business, tech, and entrepreneurship. Warning, this podcast contains explicit language and anything said or done here is for entertainment and informational purposes only. Please kindly do not take it personally. It's all for good fun and it's all jokes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Last Week was Friday. Thank you very much for coming to this special episode. Now, on this particular episode, we're having something interesting. So, as you know, before we get into it, we're going to recommend and introduce everybody. We have a special guest. He has been a guest of the pod, a friend of the pod. He has been here before, and is Bash Olawole, Andreo. Yeah, that's how to pronounce it. So we're going to do introduction. Wally works. Yeah, Wally for shorts. We're going to do he's our Einstein in this case. We're going to do introduction, and I'll take the introduction before we get started. So let me give you guys who we have. First of all, we start from our guest, Olawale, or you can just say Wally, guy, Wale Bashir, or you can just say Wally for short. Basically, Bash is a .NET developer, he's a backend dev. He's more than that. He does. Did I fuck up?
No, allow Ego to finish fucking up, then you correct him.
No. Okay. Keep going. Hey, he's a .NET developer, backend dev. He does more than that. Basically a lot of things. Bash, you still handle Bash. I think Bash manages his company that is an agency for developers that basically build projects and build softwares for people. Bash is one of our friends. We all went to secondary school together. That's how we knew Bash. Bash has been a friend of this pod. He has been on an episode before. Can't remember the particular name of the episode, but the link will be in the description. With that said, I think that's a brief of Bash. But just now, we get to know him first. Bash, you can say something, so that they are familiar with your voice before we get started.
All right. So, it's a pleasure to be here again. I think he has already done most of my introduction, and he was right about a good number of things. However, it's Olawale. It's like the easiest of my three names, so I think I'm in trouble with the host here. Olawale Abaniwan.
There's something I would like to mention. Bash parents knew he'll be a mad developer, so they named him Bash.
Yo! Oh man, that hits hard, bro. I'm
telling you, I don't even think Bash is him. So the language is literally named after Bash because I think he came before the language. No, I'm mad that in his father of Linux.
That's good. Hi, my name is David, or you can call me Drones. I know you're about to listen to another really awesome episode, and I just stepped in like one really smelly mess that nobody planned for. But here's the gist. This podcast is managed by Was Podcasting, and our goal is to make the podcasting experience feel like a breeze for the podcasters. Unlike other people, for listeners like you, we have a podcast recommendation newsletter where we suggest interesting podcasts that we believe you will love. Like this one. Just check the What's Podcaster link in the description and subscribe. You will get all for free new recommendations once weekly. And I promise you one thing, it will always make you feel something good or bad. One of them. Anyway, thank you for listening. Now, like that silent smelly mess, it's time for me to just, go and allow you continue. Enjoy. As we go into the introduction, that's Kekere Lion. I know they will say I've messed it up, but he's a statistician. And yeah, that's Prince, the wisest lion from the East. He's a Kekere. He's Kekere Lion. He has a master's in statistics, basically. He builds AI models for a living. He builds AI models for a living.
Now, how many times will you have to be corrected in what you studied in master's?
Just let it go. I've accepted master's in statistics. Just keep on.
Yeah, the master's in statistics.
Science. Bachelor's in statistics, master's in computer science.
Master's in data science.
Data science, sorry.
You said the fuck up.
No,
correct. Teacher already correct me.
I collect from your steez now. Your steez, they make mistake.
No, leave me and my steez alone, motherfucker. Sorry, we cuss a lot. You must have heard it in the intro.
We don't. Please. I go up doors.
So that's Prince. That was his voice. He also has a new mic now. The name of his mic is Tono. Yeah.
Guy,
And then-
why you reducing my C's? You are reducing my aura. Calm down, please.
Yeah, I take credit. I'm the one that told you about the mic. Yeah.
That is Musa. You know already. He's also using Tono. Musa is a philosopher, stroke data analyst, stroke future president of Nigeria, stroke. I don't know, man. Like the man is a man of many colors, rainbow shit. But moving forward,
Sorry, please clarify that rainbow.
however you choose to imagine it, however you choose to interpret it, it's correct in your head. Yeah. So and the other end we have Shego himself, the billionaire next door. He speaks in syllables. Shego's this whole podcast, we're on episode 19 at this point. I think it's 19 or 20. And so far, right, Shego's whole conversation on this podcast can be into just 2 episodes. Let's say total 2 episodes. Let's say only Shego is talking. Throughout episode 1 to 19 join together. Just
half of one episode.
Yeah, half of one episode. I don't know why he speaks in syllables. But yeah, that's Shego. Shego, can you say hi for the grams? Say hi for the people. Let them know who the fuck you are, motherfucker.
Alpha.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, you spoke for the next 20 minutes. You may not say anything again. As it's the mouthpiece of the gods. And you know me, your favorite host, me, David Egop, founder and creator and supreme leader of What's Podcasting. Our job is to make the rocket guys point.
The guy gave himself.
Oh my god! I see. For your Twitter, you change up to Thrones of What Podcast. It's no longer Elongated Mosque.
Now because we laughed now in episode 18 where we made jokes about him.
No, actually, I was like,
what?
No, I was like, I need to just put Thrones of What Podcasting. So at least it's just branding, putting my business out there by fire by thunder. That kind of P. So yeah, that's why.
You can always leave the elongated mosque in the bio. You get.
Yeah, I'll add it there.
Yeah, it's actually I like the names. Makes sense. Like,
thank you.
For 2 sets of people, for the ambitious ones and for the honey people, it still works. So that's 2 audiences.
Anyway, now that Prince has him mic, anything he says may not make sense, but it sounds like it does. It's the effect of the mic, it's not him.
So we started with banter, okay.
Yeah. So before we get into it, we've already understand who everybody is. We've done the introductions. Today's episode is very actually special. It's not special. It's nothing. We'll still cuss. We'll still make jokes. But we want to talk about something
I beg.
Calm down first. It's something I have titled The Greater Evil. The reason why it's the greater evil because it's basically the most trending thing and the most scary thing to have happened in our generation so far in terms of this podcast is dedicated to us living the metrics, right? It's basically us working our way outside towards building a future for ourselves. So everybody you listen to or hear on this podcast, we're not just making jokes. We're basically building a future and documenting it in your presence. And we're hoping that you enjoy that experience that we share. Now, this particular topic is on AI. You see, this is a very interesting thing and it's also very scary at the same time because we know it would affect all of our jobs. For me being a designer, to Prince being, the statistician here and a data analyst, and then, Musa being a data analyst on his end and Bash being a developer, we know that's affecting all our...
Not an analyst.
So Musa is a philosopher. They don't get paid. They stay on the mountains. They wear clothes, rapper, and they just say shit. What the fuck Musa does?
No, Musa is actually getting there. Musa already has the thought process of a philosopher and the beards. He's just meant to be homeless.
Yeah, meant to be homeless. Abandon all his wealth. Be like, I'm giving all my wealth to the, to the poor.
They don't fall in love. They usually die single, so you know what to do next.
Exactly. Maybe that's why, that's never worked out for him, that aspect. But
wow.
That aside, we want to talk about AI and how it affects our work, our life, and I've broken this discussion down into 4 to 5 segments. And it starts like this, right? First of all, we want to discuss on the introduction of AI, the significance, overview of what it is. Everybody have a round table, everybody go around to share their overview of, their experience with it, basically the potential we've seen in it. And then we'll move on to the current state of AI and everyday application. Talk about it in terms of the data analysis point, designers, the use case we have seen and how everybody uses it. And then transition into the ethics and practical applications. that's when we can talk about like those specific dangers that we see, the ethical point of it, the dangerous part, and all of that. And then we talk about lastly the future, not last, second to last, the future of this AI possibility. And and then at the end we talk about possible ways to stay strong. Now, let me put it out there. We have not built $billion companies. Like I said, we are finding our way out of the matrix. But we believe that we all have general ideas that would work. And we are going to talk about possible ways to remain strong in this time and the times that are yet to come. So to start with, basically an overview of AI. So anybody can take up the floor. I don't know. What do you guys so far, your experience with your AI rave? For example, ChatGPT 4.0 that just came out, and then Ilya Living. Who wants to go first? We also, by the way, we have 2 documents that Musa is going to read through, and we're going to place an argument on that. So yeah, Bash, that's what they do. So when you see me bantering them, just know that this is what they do for the grams. Yeah. So please, who's willing to go first? Yeah, Bash, do you want to hit the gun running?
Hit the road, Jack.
All right, so let's begin, shall we?
Yes.
Einstein, let's go.
The talk of AI, I think it went...
Bash don't carry debates.
Bro, oh no.
Let's go. The talk of AI. See how I had it. Like,
it came out in like 2020, and like it's been in discussion since around 2009-10, since the earlier companies were trying to create it. What I understand by AI, it's basically, we've seen what GPT can do. It gives you some kind of answers that you'd have to query or think and, process a lot of things for. So it's a tool that has made life significantly easier for us across the years, especially in the early, 2020s. And I think it's been a huge benefit for the people who know how to use it and how to manipulate it, because it's multi-purpose and it's been a versatile network generally. That's what I'm going to say. And calm down. It's not yet time.
It's not yet time. Prince, what's your own thoughts? Because Musa has a lot. You give Musa a mic now, go on, shut up.
So I don't think there's anything I have to say that's different from the past 10 weeks. My views have not changed.
There we go.
AI is a blessing. Because of AI provided people with a way of making money without actually innovating. There's a meme I posted this week about he said this guy innovated a speaker, a microphone speaker out of everyday tools using a speaker, sellotape, and cardboard. So what AI provided for us is a way of making money without actually doing work. All you have to do is build something around ChatGPT that it can already do and create a new UI and cash the fuck out. I'm talking about Gen AI and every other startup that's come up. So I like the idea of AI providing people with means to make money without innovating. It feels like Ponzi, but it is useful Ponzi, and I can't wait to get on that ride. Thank you.
So Musa, let's go to Shego. Let's go to Shego. Before Musa,
exactly what Shego
said. Egop did not have network to notice that part of the conversation.
I left.
But anyways,
Fuck you.
That kind of living. But AI is cool. Makes my life really easy. Though I don't know. I want to step away from ChatGPT for a while, because at this point, I no longer think when I see a bug, it's just to copy and paste it and then copy and paste the code as well. And if it's working, it's working. So AI is a blessing, but then now still cost, because now this kind of way go make them come for your job. But
but counter arguments. You actually think,
you see how sweet this guy's wife is.
My voice is so sweet.
Hide your girls. Now, so is yourself for this conversation.
Gabi sounding like one like that.
It's like NTA before. Now it sounds.
Now you guys don't show the fuck up. It's the mic. It's a fucking mic. It's just mic.
Episodes, my voice has been sounding like I've been going through midlife crisis. Now I sound like a daddy, in case you don't know. So my counter argument is that you actually think of the prompts to use. So for example, when they brought in what they call it, autocorrect, a philosopher will open his mouth and say that reduces thinking because nobody knows how to spell anything. He just corrects it for them. What happened to the days of Oxford Dictionary and Thesaurus and checking for... Man, fuck that shit, man. I type faster and I'm proud of it. So we have just advanced so much that there are some things that we should not do. We should not feed the horse grass and make sure the thing is well blasted before we ride it outside. We just open our cars and drive our cars. So we have passed the stage of thinking of bug. We just have to get used to it. The problem now is it happened so fast that we can notice the times changing. It wasn't our great grandfather that started. So personally, I don't mind. I'd rather think of the prompts to ask ChatGPT to solve my problem than think of how to solve the bug in a more practical manner, in my opinion. Bash, say something.
Bash, hold that thought.
Not yet.
Tell who that thought.
I actually have, I did a course when I was back. All the days when I'm back. Hey, how was the song? Black Bones.
Yeah, I just talked. Why you singing?
Okay, back to uni. Anyway, I try to sing back to uni, but I need to come my head the lyrics. Like I actually had a course. One of my favorite courses was it was very like I was like in the wonderland because so we did. It was about neurons. It was a mix of neurons and computing. Right, because like mind, brains, and machines, and we had two teachers, like two separate teachers. So one was, I think neurologists, what do you call them? Those guys that specialize in neurons, and then the other guy was like a computer. I think it was a computer scientist or artificial intelligence, like professor. I can't even remember. But anyways, so we actually studied the history of artificial intelligence, as in all the day from like John McCarthy from like 1956. And like, when we consider, okay, like the process to reach, because why did artificial intelligence start to become a thing, right? The name label of like artificial intelligence in 1956, when John McCarthy introduced it, was because the process they were trying to achieve was a mechanization of thought. What does it mean, a mechanization of thought? Well, according to like McCarthy himself, like what he was trying to do was
as light rocks into thinking.
Because like from that period downwards, right, gets us to the position of like, even the chess competition of IBM, all the way to like the Deep Blue, whatever. Because those are like, the AI we see today, right, is not practical. Those things today were like very initial forms, but like these are the things that led up to the ChatGPT that we have today. If there was no John McCarthy that like tried to like mechanize thoughts all the way to like the 1960s, 70s, whereby like there was literally like AI winter. Like there was really nothing huge happening in AI. And then of course, like by the 90s, when Kasparov, what was his name, like played chess, right? And he was beating, I think in the 90s, 1999, I can't remember the particular day, but he was beating chess. That was like the world chess champion, right? And then we now come to Deep Blue, coming to win at Go. And Go is more complicated than chess, right? All these things look like tiny advancements, tiny advancement. What happens next? Almost hockey stick. Vroom, from like linear progress, the chart just went up automatically to from I can beat you at chess, I can win you at Go to let me do your essay. How did we jump that? Like, let me write your code. And like, of course, the discussion today will even talk about like, let me be your AI scientist.
I understand. It's scary. So there's a quote said by a popular statistician. I was reminded of it yesterday. I've tried to tell about it a long time ago. Is by I think his name is George Box. I'm not sure. It's said all models are wrong, but some are useful. As the day keeps on passing, that's the quote makes sense. But like the authenticity, the aura is reducing from the quote because
what makes it make sense?
What makes it make sense? Well, the quote basically keeps you humble. At least I was having discussion with one of my friends, PhD in mathematics yesterday, and we were just talking about the quote and going. He said the main idea of the quote is to keep you humble. They are not all knowing or predictive. Me, in my own opinion, the idea of the quote is to keep you even very proud self because of how will I put this now? The main idea of predictive analysis is not to be perfect, is to be better than random guess. So as long as I have an edge, I am better than you. That is the whole idea. So we are not chasing perfection. We're not chasing spiritual entropy. We are chasing something better than random guess. Now all you have to do is shift the goalpost. Instead of random guess, something better than average. Something better than you and I. So for those of us that want to actually promote AI, to make all of you change your plans and desires in life and maybe start slave farm with human beings, we are actually happy that we can shift the parameters of the goalposts not to be more useful than perfect, but to be more useful than human. Thank you. Please, if you see me as a villain, just, I don't know. That's the idea.
Somebody has listened to the past 3 episodes of Last Week Was Friday. They will conclude that this guy does not like human beings.
Like, the funny part is that it's actually a lot of it is satire, but that's smallest.
Bash, what's your thought on what he just said?
Well, I can't disagree with what he said because it's actually true. And the quote he just mentioned doesn't just apply to, statistics and models. To a large extent, even what we do in, we that in STEM, the more science aligned and mechanical aligned models we build are not perfect, but so far they are close enough. It works. So I kind of agree with what he said. I mean, from a personal POV, you can never actually model, any mechanical motion with the perfect equations or anything. And our physics seems flawed when looking at it from an astronomical POV. I kind of agree that, the goal is to be better than humans, but let's not forget that to a large extent, these things also have their similarities, create something. I think Shego would relate to what I'm saying. I think he'll be able to relate to what I'm saying when he's back, and he's back. I was just shouting him out. He doesn't need to say anything, but I think he'll be able to relate to what I'm saying. Prompting GPT and trying to get the answers to something you're coding. And the answer you got is either outdated or just straight up funny.
Or the code is deprecated already.
Exactly. Something like that.
I get that a lot.
That kind of thing egg up. Many times, sir. It happens a lot.
Exactly.
Let's not talk about egg up's grammar.
And a lot of that you'd want to just jump by. A lot of the time, it just does what me as a developer is doing, which is just writing bugs into the system. So it's not exactly better than me.
But there's something that is actually quite funny. You know that a model can't do better than the data that's trained on. Musa, I beg, don't sleep.
Exactly.
So, because a model can't do better than the data it's trained on, I've said this before. I'm not sure if it's one of the earliest episodes, but it is the way of the future in cybersecurity and hacking. Think about this. If a model can't do better than the data it's trained on, how do you then hack and fuck up a model? You cannot attack GPT technology itself. The only way to attack it is through data injection in the training stage. Now, when I said this thing, I literally was talking about this beginning of the year. It was as if I was blabbing bullshit. Now it's actually real because of the recent deal with Reddit and all this OpenAI training and Google intelligence and all this rubbish joined together. Right now, the Reddit has become more useful, and models are being trained on Reddit now. So a lot of companies, even the SEO of Google is based off of Reddit. So a lot of companies literally pay Redditors to randomly talk about their company multiple times a day with their phone and earn good money to increase the SEO. So basically, what I'm saying is that the reason why AI
Prince, do you have a proof? Do you have a proof of this thing you just mentioned?
Yes. I'll get document and put it in this thing. But
he's actually right.
That's exactly what's happening right now. So people can train anything. That's what I'm trying to say. So that being said, you can, if you put just enough bullshit online, AI will be trained on that bullshit and it will be skewed in your favor. Does that sound beautiful?
I don't know if you saw the Google experiments that they were trying to get that auto prompt thing. I think they released it in the US and to some exclusive people where when you Google something, before the SEO starts arranging the links in order, the way Microsoft AI works, it will just start typing out the answer for you if it's generic. And unfortunately, like Fred said, since they were sourcing their information from Reddit, and if you guys are on Reddit, you would know that Reddit is a place full of BS. Sometimes the AIs were spilling out BS. I saw a prompt on Twitter where someone was like, to cook chicken. But how do you tell when a chicken is well done? And the thing picked up an answer from someone from Reddit, and it was like, you can ask Goku to check the chicken's power level if it's cooked enough for you. And I was like, what? Or the other one I saw where someone was like, I'm having homicidal thoughts. What do I do? And the Google AI, because it had already been trained on BS from Reddit and everything, was the best way to avoid homicidal thoughts is to find someone who is walking alone and kill them. I was like, this was my
that's some hard dark joke there. Game is game.
And I was like, it wasn't really a joke because this was Google's experiment. Like, these are the leading powers when it comes to this kind of technologies.
We need more disclaimers.
Bad data like this.
Now, what is so crazy is that AI is trained on all this rubbish, and AI doesn't see no O-level maths. If you give AI your homework in mathematics, you are failed, though.
I have data against this particular statement that you made. And it's the basis
of straight up probability. If I give this thing SS3 probability challenges, it will fail.
Because it doesn't have the sentience to solve it. I think that's the difference. When humans
that cannot be done. AI can pass Google interview, can pass medical school. AI cannot pass probability. AI cannot pass statistics exam. Meanwhile, they tell you after.
So in Lopal's paper, right? So like situational awareness.
Okay.
He's currently like working at OpenAI, and this month he wrote like a long essay dedicated to Ilyas Seka. Leopold Aschenbrenner, that's his name. So of course, there's in the essay, there was a particular section whereby he's talking about the performance of the models to particular exams. So GPT-4 as again versus GPT 3.5, right? When it comes to GRE quantitative, right? GRE quantitative GPT 3.5 as of 2022 was so it's out of 100. The higher you are, the more standing you are. GPT 3.5 was 25th, right? Whereas GPT-4 was 80th. When it comes to AP calculus, it was 51st. When it comes to AP statistics, it was 92nd. When it comes to AP macroeconomics, GPT-4, it was 92nd. So
I understand what you're saying. That is evidence. My own evidence is I carried interview questions, but now me they talk. I did a lot of quantitative interviews. Where did they key me? So when you're inside an interview, the online stage, that that this battle is lost. I may lose the battle, but I'll not lose the war. I'll pull out my phone and start snapping the questions. I know I failed. Let them look at me snapping the question. I'll use it to study against next time a job opens. This is game I'm giving you guys. It's free game. They will not remember who took a picture of their last interview. It will not be the exact same question, but the questions are unique. I never found them. These questions, since last year, August, I have 40 screenshots. Not screenshot, 40 pictures in phone.
Mm-hmm.
See today, give me GPT-4. If I say add sarcasm inside GPT-4, the thing will fail. See last night when we check them. So maybe I was wrong for saying O level. The level that I'm talking about, I don't know the level it is because I never find them and I'm a master's holder. But there's a level that it may give you answer, but that answer is not right. And what I noticed, that GPT 3.5, I actually believe your data because 3.5 is actually stupid. It can give you the process right.
1,000
will be 31.
1,000%. That thing is dope.
Very stupid.
There was a test I carried out. I think it was, I think I called it the potato test then. Actually with Snapchat AI, GPT 3.5, and a few other prompt models that were right. Where I'd ask it, where is the second O in potato found? All of them failed it. So we're there's no O in potatoes because potatoes are vegetables and not alphabets and not words. And I was like,
wow. I hope OpenAI listens to this.
Bash, you make up this test.
Processes have evolved. No, I did not.
Okay, was the test that was done online and you just replicated it?
I replicated it and saw it live. And this was back in the day, most likely they've advanced past it. But what he said, 3.5 is stupid. I will triple down on that.
3.5 couldn't even construct proper sentences then. So when it first came public, was it in November? God, it's just 6 months. So this thing has not even done anything. It hasn't lasted. Guy, was it not last year in November or December? When was it released?
November, I think.
Is it GPT-4?
No, GPT. Chat GPT.
Oh, it's not last year. It's 2022 November.
2022.
Oh, okay.
You don't they old. It isn't a last year.
It's looking at the rapid space.
Oh boy. Okay, so this is okay. Now it makes sense because I was wait, how did we grow from so fast in so short a time. Anyways, like I can remember in like 2022, it was like maths, like basic maths questions, Shami, that I was asking, right? I like basic calculations because like me, I do a lot of like calculations I want to do with GPT-4, like the paid version.
GPT doesn't know maths, Musa, so you don't do wrong calculations.
It knows maths, God. Like you don't even use it for what I use it for. It does know maths. Like me, I do like a lot of like probabilities for my data.
Please just say it. You don't do probability.
GPT-3.
Okay.
I use GPT-4 for my work.
Okay.
To be even precise, let me even check like
after this thing, I will send you some questions. You will put it on GPT-4.
No.
GPT-4. Oh, the one we use now, Egg Up with Chego. GPT-4.
Yes, now let's do it differently. You send that probability question you gave it to Bash and Prince. They will give you an answer, not from GPT. And let's know if GPT is right or wrong.
No. Let us say there are different levels. So the questions where me I don't see, it's never answer them.
No, just give me, because like the thing is that like with GPT-4, I can even upload your questions like as image and tell it to solve it. So I'll upload it as questions and tell it to solve the actual question.
We'll test that today. Thank you.
Because guys, GPT-4 is mad though. It's actually mad.
I know say mad. Made the team pass quant interview. Now let me explain back to my first point. These things are trained on data points, Abi.
Just now.
Yeah.
These questions, I never even see them for internet.
I don't understand.
These questions are never me, where you can call me dark web in some things. I never even see these questions for internet. So where is it trained on? Now, the few people that are talking about it on Chegg and this thing, what they call it, and Reddit, they failed it woefully in those chats and nobody's even replying with the correct answer. So what is your GPT-4 trained on? Like I said earlier, a model can't do better than the data is trained on.
Yeah, but how can we know? Like, no company will ever tell you exactly what they use because it's also
a data came from GitHub initially, which is why for everybody that keeps coding shit and pushing it to GitHub is the reason why ChatGPT used to give us bugs sometimes because it is trained on some bad data too. Like every problem with ChatGPT is the data.
That's the thing.
They can't do that. The data is giving.
When it comes to the code base, they are being trained on open source projects basically. Open source projects is what they used to train ChatGPT for writing.
And it's big data. They can't clean that kind of data.
They can't clean everything. So they can't
go through. See my repo now. Those are my open repos. There's a lot of rubbish there from earlier years that to be trained on and reproduce. Programming for an important company, please do not paste your code directly.
So egg up code we get calculator. That calculator code, that rubbish now. They don't carry on like this.
What do you mean about my code we get? I write code past you, this boy. They got it.
I think you said you write code. I think you said like I don't write code now.
So why are you not saying my code?
Like, bro, I work with numbers. I don't.
So me now, I work with alphabets. No, I work with signs and symbols. Signs and symbols I'm using to work now. God bless you.
You know, feeling is an emotion. I mean, how do you take talk about?
Yes, honesty is an emotion.
Episode 5, I think.
Piece of shit. Please go on with AI. Stop attacking me.
That's all I have to say. A model can't do better than the data is trained. So I'm not blaming Sam Altman or those people, those billionaires. I'll never blame a billionaire. God has helped them. But what I'm trying to say is,
God has helped them.
If you're a billionaire, I've already made it to. I can never criticize you. You are right. You are very right, sir. You are very, very right. You are correct. Me, I'm not correct. But what I'm saying is, whatever problem you see with AI, just remember, if this is the only thing you take away from me today, a model can't do better than the data is trained. Blame the data source. Now, if you want to affect a model, give it bad data. If the model no fit solve your problem, you say human beings could not even solve it in the first place, which is my dilemma. So yeah, that is it.
Interesting. So I have a chart. I'm currently looking for it. I can't find it. It's the chart of industries where AI has been like more dominant in, or it has dominated, or where more investments are going into. Okay, but I can't find that data. When I do, I will let you all know. But before we get started to the next phase of this conversation, does anybody have to close on this overview before we go into like the current stage, the impacts, and then Musa will read to us partially or explain to us that PDF that he has been studying for how many days now? So yeah, any last words? Shego, Alpha.
The man of
Okay.
little words.
He has nothing to say as usual. So moving forward into the second phase of this thing, whereby the current state of AI, everyday application. Now we know that this thing is being used everywhere at this point. You see, this Figma config was just recently, and now Figma released. I said it to a guy on LinkedIn. I remember the guy was saying BS bullshit, like, oh, AI will take your job. The people using AI will take your job. And I was like, this is BS. I told him this is BS. And they were like, no. And then I explained to him, I was like, see, Oga, job saying you are building an AI startup or you are working with an AI startup, and what is going to happen here is Figma just needs to train all the Figma community designs to one AI source. That AI can replicate UI. Like, UI designs are like the screens and models are basically easy to develop. The hardest part is tailoring it to one person. You don't need a 5-man team to do that. You need one person that is a senior designer to arrange all the files, but you need 5 teams to design them. What happens when one AI in 1, 2, 4, 10 minutes, right, creates a full-ass production, and then one designer uses 124 hours to arrange the whole files?
10 minutes is even much stuff.
It's too much. What are you doing for 10 minutes? I don't understand.
Yeah, the right.
Thank you. It's too much. We have a lot of screens.
All I'm going to say is, what you are trying to say is basically what I was saying. People be jobless. That is it. We have to just accept it. People should just accept it.
From what I heard from Fig before, from the first day, you should look out for that, because apparently the Adobe have changed their terms and conditions now, and they have the right to pick into your private designs, which are going to be used to train these models you're talking about.
I was telling these designers, Figma did something. We will go and talk about our week after this. Figma did something where Figma said, oh, now you can easily search Figma with, like, you can use a frame to search Figma. Meaning you can highlight a frame and ask Figma that, hey, which of my files does this particular icon appear inside? Now, the only way it is possible for them to use one icon in one file to search all other files is because they are basically reading through every single file on your PC. Meaning their privacy terms have changed and be able to access and read all your files and use exactly what Bash just said.
Yeah, like they said it at the 24th first day. As it is now, all products that are like created on Figma, Adobe have a level of ownership to it. So they have the right to search your private files. And the fact that they can search your files like that is already too late.
But they don't do anything illegal, guys.
Like drones is already being trained on that data right now.
Yeah. The thing now is that it's nothing illegal. We're not calling them out because now all of them are we tick terms and conditions. You have read and seen the terms. You never read anything. You go out, you go tick. And you don't even have a fucking choice because will you tick it or not?
If you want the
employer is saying they need Figma, person will sabi do Figma. She go come the tell lawyer, please can you help me read these terms? You need job, you tick that thing and you give them your designs.
Well, this is the usefulness of AI because terms and conditions now can actually be solved in the sense of, where it's subjective, but just ask the GPT, copy paste the entire terms of conditions. What are the loopholes? What are the possible areas?
Even if there's loophole, even if there are loopholes, you are a young man that is looking for a design job. You finally get your first design job on Fiverr after 5 years.
You won't give a damn about loopholes.
Exactly, because you want to money. You will give them your best designs. They have had sleepless nights, and AI will train on that shit overnight, and you're done. So, like I said before, people should go back. We cannot be repeating episodes, but AI will remove commonality. And if you are common, I'm so sorry, because if you be my own AI, we will promote your commonality. Thank you.
So we'll go into the aspects, and Musa, when we come back from talking about our day, Musa would read that document to us. Before we close on this particular section, we are not ending the episode yet. Yeah, global private AI investments by focus area. Let me share this to the screen so you guys can also see this. I've talked about this on the evening dew as well.
Please stop watching match. Please stop watching match.
See, Lamine Yamal is balling out. See, I don't really care about anything. I only spin. I care about. That's why I know how to do podcasts today. Kai.
Brother is not
observe.
Like
Global private AI investment by focus area. Chill first, bro, because I want to know the source of this data. Scroll down.
Now, so see now, source Squid.
Please check who Squid are, because especially
Squid.
Lami Yamal is Ebola. Lami, if you don't watch Spain game, I don't know what you're doing. I'm telling you. Oh, chief. See what Pedri they do now. Oh, Baka boys. Pedro was. I will soon talk
Guy,
to guy.
will you shut up?
Quid.
This with this. So
just
go back. Let me search them.
My guy, Google Quid. Quid now money for UK now for the ends.
No wonder they show me conversion.
You know watch
watch. I don't forget.
Scroll down. Okay, they exist. Okay, anyways, just to like see that. No, it's just to see that they are not a BS source.
No, it's not a BS source. I don't read this data before now. I study.
Go
now
ahead.
Now basically what this tells us right now is the area.
No. Now
what this data tells us basically is the global private AI investment focus area. So now with this data, you can basically see where there's money inside and where your job might most likely will be disappearing from the earliest. Because where there's more money means there's more investment, that means there's more AI tools, meaning more people lose their job in that area. So if you are in that business area where we are mentioning, you are going to start from the bottom to the top, opposite of what they are doing in Nigeria, but you get. So first of all, we have now there are two industries. Cybersecurity and manufacturing have about $0.9 billion in funding.
$900 million.
$900 million in funding. This was from 2023. Now, so we have drones, not me, but drones that fly. The industry has $1 billion in funding. Marketing.
Spain has 90% possession.
Guy, please today. Oh, guy, what's it worry you? Drones, marketing. Marketing in terms of
this list. They should be somewhere there.
Where's what?
Football is not here. I think it's under creative content. But let's keep marketing has one point.
Model Leo Messi and generate another one. Send him to Stanford.
Now, marketing has $1.1 billion in funding. We have education. Education has $1.2 billion in funding. Creative content has $1.3 billion in funding. Energy, oil, and gas have $1.5 billion in funding. Semiconductor has $1.7 billion in funding. Now we're going to the big boys. The tools here. Quantum computing has Quantum computing has $2 billion in funding. Fintech as a whole has $2.1 billion in funding. That's AI investment into fintech, into these fields. AI investment into quantum, semiconductor. This is what we're specifically talking about. Now,
that means like forex instructor.
Yeah, they almost say course. Autonomous vehicles have $2.7 billion in funding, right? Now, let's go jump again. Now, there's a leap year. Now, these boys we're talking about, they did not do $3 billion. They went higher. Healthcare has $4.2 billion AI investment in funding. Now, we move on to the higher guys. Data management has $5.5 billion in funding. And Musa thinks his data analysis job will not be wiped off. Be praying, pray harder. Now, up to the big boys.
I say I'm a philosopher. Big boys. You see philosophy for this list.
Calm down.
Philosopher no get funding. That's good.
Natural language processing, NLP. Basically, your voiceovers, basically all those natural language processing, able to understand all the GPTs, all able to understand human understanding, human language, all of that. $8.1 billion in funding. Now, this particular next industry, they skipped everything. They just jump over the bar. You get now. They have $18.3 billion in funding, and this particular industry is AI infrastructure, research, and governance. What this whole area infrastructure, research, and governance talks about is like the building of the, for example, NVIDIA now, as it is now, is under AI infrastructure because of like the chip that makes it. Research is like the understanding of it is like, okay, how do we understand it? The science is the testing, all of that. Governance are the rules that back it. Like say, okay, these are the etiquettes, the rules, these are the places you should be used on, these are all of that. Those areas have $18.3 billion in funding. Now, let me give you another perspective for this. Is if you go back and you check creative content has just $1.3 billion in funding. However, just this small amount alone has caused a lot of disruption in the creative space, whereby you can automatically generate tweets that look like real human tweets. Voiceovers can be automatically generated. You can basically automatically
say, Ego, we can't categorically say that it is because I think they are cross-cutting.
That natural language processing and the AI governance, they kind of tie into this one too.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Cross-cutting guy, like NLPs, even data management.
Yes, a lot of the fact that all these things are separated just shows you how clueless venture capitalists are. Because, like we said, just throw back then when you just throw what they call that nonsense 5G inside your work and throwing decentralized and that's what's happening right now. Exactly, because of most of these things are based on natural language processing and data management. Every other thing, most of them are natural. Creative content is 100% data management and natural processing. Fintech is just scam. A lot of these things are they are heavily intertwined. So the fact that people are categorizing them as different things just shows how clueless the investors
are. Even that NLP and the AI governance,
exactly.
In particular, they are literally in the same subcategory, even if we're going to separate them.
So the venture capitalists, let them just keep dropping money everywhere. It's good. What I'm seeing here is opportunity. I'm not even scared. I'm seeing money to be made. Because even that small one for manufacturing, like, it goes back to the question, would you rather be a big fish in a small pond or be a little fish in the ocean? That manufacture will be 0.9 billion. Now, no, it's 1 billion B. For our listeners here, 1 billion are B, capital B. Do you know you can more physically spend 1 billion? Do you know if only 2 people are getting contracts for the manufacturing AI contracts? Do you know the kind of money that they make? Obi Kubana never start to. So, you both should look at this data in the description and apply accordingly. Know where to align your pockets. Thank you.
Please, I think a conversation, maybe like before we end this particular podcast, is one thing we need to talk about, like perhaps like strategies from our own positions to ensure that we are more like AI will not replace us.
That's the last.
Like, it's a very important topic, so people should pay for
Bash wants to say.
Let me pay for our premium. If you pay for our premium, we'll share.
Like he said, pay for premium. We'll share you the secrets.
Is it called premium? What do you call it?
Patreon.
If you are Patreon members, your jobs will be saved. $200 pay shop pay.
This guy. They sound like person who don't do MMM before.
Is it worth your career? What is $200 compared to your career?
Oh, Chim, you want me, Abdullah.
Okay. So wait first, guys. We're going to go for a short break now. We'll be back shortly. Don't take too much. Don't do anything naughty. We're just coming back really quick. So just drink water. Stay with us. Peace. Hi, my name is David, or you can call me Drones. I know you're about to listen to another really awesome episode, and I just stepped in like one really smelly mess that nobody planned for. But here's the gist. This podcast is managed by What's Podcasting, and our goal is to make the podcasting experience feel like a breeze for the podcasters. Unlike other people, for listeners like you, we have a podcast recommendation newsletter where we suggest interesting podcasts that we believe you will love, like this one. Just check the What's Podcasting link in the description and subscribe. You will get all for free new recommendations once weekly, and I promise you one thing, it will always make you feel something good or bad, one of them. Anyway, thank you for listening. Now, like that silent smelly mess, it's time for me to just go and allow you continue. Enjoy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you very much for that wonderful break. I hope you enjoyed listening to the voice you did. With that being said, Yeah, we're back now. Now, for the second part of this, we're going to speed through all the other discussions now. But first of all, we have a tradition we normally do. How was our week? Now, this is a fun thing for us. It's not like we're here to give you office gist or just bore you out with all the reading of data and all that BS. How was your week, guys? I will go first this time. Fuck all of you. My week was nice. Yesterday, I gave a tour around with some really important people, and I gave them a tour around Ife. They go to see the expensive restaurants, nice places. Went around to see the big head of Oduduwa where he landed in. Spoke to her Oduma like that. Gave her fruits, gave her nice stuff. Increased my street creds, raised my steez in this streets. So people see me on the street a lot. Motherfucker, fuck you for putting it like that.
What did Prince say?
He said he increased his steez among old women.
Don't worry. They are living beings among humans. Don't say old women. They are humans. Don't be ageist. So yeah, it was just nice.
What? So don't be an ageist.
What?
Don't be ageist.
My brother is down bad. Say, oh, chief.
We have lost the impact of shame in our society.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, I think that was basically highlights of my week. What else happened? I was supposed to. What else? Nothing. To be honest, nothing in other interest. Apart from my company, I had an intern that's supposed to start work this Monday. Apparently, an AI already taken her job. It's crazy. I had an intern last week Friday, and she was supposed to start working this Monday. And then on Saturday, Musa showed me an AI that will do exactly her job. So I don't think she needs resuming anymore.
If you're listening to this podcast, young lady, we're sorry. No hard feelings if you're listening right now.
I don't think she will be listening to anymore because if she doesn't need to. You get like see her job. She's supposed to listen and then write out some things. I'm not going to say it because my ops may be listening as well. Listen, but an AI would do that. But you get sorry.
Why you not talking about negative impact of AI? As a CEO, that is positive.
Yeah, saving me cost. You know what I mean?
So basically, if you don't like AI, what you need to do is become the CEO and fire people. It feels so good.
Yeah. That's good. So I changed my whole company model. I just reimagined the whole idea of the company underground than what it is. To be honest, what's podcasting is a podcast management company that tells stories at the core of it, right? But then we are overall an advertising company. We're an advertising agency or company at the backbone. Just like how just like how Tesla is is a robotic AI company, but then they sell cars, right? And their cars are basically the robots and the AI that runs it, right? But at the end of the day, they are still an AI company, a robotics AI company. Post podcasting is basically an ad company, right? But we sell podcasts and we use podcasts, and that's the whole idea. And you have to rethink that because that's the only way this company can stand the times of AI, at least to a degree. If we reimagine the way the company goes through. But that's basically it's just hard to think through that. I think if there's any other thing I remember, I'll let you guys know. But Peace, how's your week?
The truth is that like podcasting is actually to survive in life, be a podcaster. AI cannot do this job.
AI can do this job. There are AIs that
what I mean is that like the whole experience of I'm listening to a person that I know.
Respect.
I don't understand.
No, I understand what Musa is saying. The intimacy with target audience.
Like it's like Lex Friedman now. I'm a dedicated fan to Lex Friedman. And AI will never be more connected to Lex Friedman. If Lex Friedman decides today that, I have an assistant that will take charge and AI. And let's imagine something happens to Lex Friedman and that AI has been doing for 1 year. I'll stop listening to Lex Friedman podcast perhaps. Because I listen to Lex Friedman podcast because of Lex Friedman. And
I respect you. And then someone might do the counter argument that AI can carry your voice and all those things, which is the reason why, like we said, AI will erase commonality. Does this podcast sound common to you? With the way Ego just the course anyhow, does it sound common to you? AI cannot copy this. No. AI cannot copy the banter. AI cannot copy Shego's network issues. AI cannot copy us. so that is the good part. We are not normal. That is why we are safe.
Waiting Bash won't talk.
I was going to say unless Prince finds a way to train a new model specifically on Egos info.
I will never shoot myself in the leg. I will never create anything that will shoot myself in the leg. Know that.
Bro, that's what OpenAI are doing. So
raise your flag up. If you have a rainbow flag,
raise it for a living. From Robert Oppenheimer to Ilya to, we always make something that shoots us in the leg.
Yeah, but this is not an existential issue. Oppenheimer's was somehow, it can be argued that it was existential. But this one's like, the hell, we are still gonna live, be alive. Like, what's the point of actually doing the AI from an existential point of view? Very little. Like,
hunger.
What?
Hunger.
People
go H without jobs.
So who is the next person for the week?
People, I don't understand. People will hate without jobs.
Well, don't worry, I'll get to that. People will be hungry without jobs. Well, my week was interesting. My week was actually quite comedic, I can't even lie.
Nice.
One of my clients was really misbehaving in ways that not even that.
Is it software for the clients? Is that it?
Yeah, something like that. Me and my
listeners don't understand. You have to be more clear.
Okay, so like I have a few developers that deploy to build exclusively for her, and like they're building private software for her that we can't like get into right now. And like if it's that she wasn't willing to like pay or it wasn't a collateral, that would have been very, very straightforward. But she first of all tried tapping them up, to like get them to like work full time for her. And her offer was less than what I offer right now. So like they told me that was that. And I was like, well,
you're lucky the offer was less.
Yeah, that's the thing. Not really, because her next approach was to try and go out with me. I really don't get.
Plus 2,000 going out with clients.
Wow, Steve!
He didn't really
get the employees, get the boss.
I beg Bash, give Ego your blessings, please.
I play my admin for you. Lay your hands over
boss.
Me.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem. She can give birth to me.
Jesus.
Wait.
That's
like the problem. These are the issues.
So like that's the thing. Like she asked if I'll be available by.
Why are you being an agent?
She asked if I'll be available yesterday. I said I had somewhere to be yesterday. She asked about today again, this evening. I said like she doesn't really mind the time. I've still not yet responded. She's still there already, and I don't know what to say honestly because I've run out of excuses now.
I'm not interested now. Oh, are you interested?
No. See, here's the thing. Humans can be fit and petty.
Yes or no? This thing is a simple question.
I am not, but I'm interested in her money. She's still my client.
See, let me tell you.
So if I straight up tell you, no, I'm not going out with you. Humans are fickle. She can decide, okay, I'm pulling out my business. I'm going somewhere.
Is she your most important client?
No, but she's up there, really close.
Interesting.
So, Bash, I am.
Like I said, interesting week.
Bash, this conversation sounds like something that we go over our Patreon. How are you going to take stats?
I'll be dropping names on Patreon too. So subscribe.
Just $200 per episode. Sorry, per month.
You be thief. $200 per even ChatGPT no collect that one.
Yeah, the day we drop that picture, bro.
You're going to get the best list, and you're going to know how to not lose your job to AI.
So what I want to tell you about Bash, customer comes first. Customer happiness comes first. I hear me. That's what I can say. Customer happiness comes first. You cannot always give an excuse. You can go to a public place.
It's a fine line.
You can go to a public place and have a professional discussion with your business card and everything. It is called client relations. Some people are nice. It doesn't mean they are flirting with you. You have to respect her decision. You cannot be an agent.
People are flirting with you. It doesn't mean they are not nice.
Yeah, exactly. No. Because she take you to a restaurant doesn't mean that she wants to
sleep with you. I don't be that. Doesn't mean she wants
to. What?
You receive to be on Patreon, so I know I'm not mistaking it.
Bro, let me tell you something. It's free food. Restaurant is free food. It doesn't mean
but because she takes you to the restaurant doesn't mean she wants to sleep with you. Because she says you are fine doesn't mean she wants to sleep with you.
He not say he wants to sleep with, but like he's trying to be professional.
Egg up. I have definite proof otherwise. It's going to be on the Patreon.
Okay.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that don't. It's free food, guy. Just go and chop free food and talk to her and gist. Because you get, guy, accept the free food. It's clients.
Oh, Chimbash. Wait. Is she Yoruba?
No.
Igbo.
Yes.
Run, bro! Run! Yo, Master Jesus. Guy, run.
Guy, calm down. Her husband might be in petroleum industry. This is how you.
I don't care about her husband. Is run. You want to run, man, or you want to run and be alive? Run.
But it's better now. If she's Hausa, her husband will just straight up stab you.
You know you are dying. You know you are dying as well.
Bro, if she's Hausa, man, well, it depends the wealth categorization. But if it's an Alhaja or Moya on your own.
The clan leader has spoken.
This is why I said the week was interesting.
This might be the most. You can see the podcast here and there. No, we can do a whole podcast on your week, Seth. This is not enough. Like, I feel bad for talking about my week after you because, like, you don't already kill him. Not even I go talk now. We go make sense.
Wait, Bash, I want to ask you, like, what do you spend most of your time doing now these days?
I still write code manually, you know? Like, that's the thing. The development process is not so straightforward. I don't know if I'm making any sense. You know, the same way in companies now, there are like different levels to like developers. So if you're going to work on something like YouTube, for example, the person who's going to start the repo, who's going to build 80% of the functionality is going to be like a senior developer, probably the CTO himself, in the case of Microsoft with Mark Rusinovich, or like the principal developer. Then like the junior ones are the ones who now start, you know, fixing all the issues that come in that are like, that's where they get assigned and places like that. So like, especially for like people who want to build financial distributed systems and people who want to build like AI, this thing, I'm the one who does the core, the original build there. Then from there, you know, we can assign one person to just fix this part, but the whole machine has to be built first, at least a prototype. You understand?
Okay. I really respect that. So for our listeners, you can see we're bringing on experts on this podcast. Imagine what we'll bring up on, if we're bringing Bash on the free episode, that means that Iron Man will they bring for our Patreon accordingly.
Our marketing lead has spoken.
I don't tell you that.
Mr. How was your week?
I'm trying to remember what the hell happened with my week.
Shego, how was your week?
No time.
Keep remembering, we'll come back to you. Yeah, I'm your next talking. How was your week?
No, not me. You tried. The only thing I could tell you now, I'm just saying.
You say you run PS4.
Nah, Aja be that.
Yeah, Aja
now.
To rent house, easy. For this house. That's not the summary.
Why are you renting, please? To rent out is easy.
Oh boy.
For listeners, right? Recently, Bash Shego recently left his father's house. You know, like the way they told, is it Moses or Abraham? Leave your father's house and I will show you a land, milk and honey. Apparently, he has found milk and honey.
Shego
You mix half of each story.
No. Egop is not wrong because after that verse happened, Shego went to the land of milk to find the honey.
In the city close to the sun.
All the honeys.
Yes. So apparently, Shego now he has left his father's house, so he's facing the troubles of being an independent man outside.
I don't find Ugechi, Sha.
You don't find Ugechi.
I don't find Ugechi.
Shego, I want to ask you a question. Do you feel? Hello, is your mic unmuted?
I hear you.
Do you feel your focus has shifted since you left your father's house?
Shift go where?
I don't know. Like, do you think like your focus has shifted in any way? Like, as your energy
reduced? I've been shift womb. Which one?
Prince, that's not way to. Like in regards to your work now and stuff.
My focus don't shift before I leave. The focus is always shifting, Sha. You know.
So what are you more focused on right now?
The next $1 million.
Yes, the first one is the next one.
Do you know? Let me actually give the probability because I have this data. The probability of Nigerians becoming billionaires, millionaires, and centimillionaires.
That's the beginning of your week like that too.
What?
That's the beginning of how your week was like that too. Just from there like that, just start thinking about how your week was. Just to go like that.
No, like I'm about to publish is what I was reading to you. So it's part of like the essay. The probability of being a millionaire in Nigeria in 2023, right, based on the stats. So there were 8,200 millionaires, USD millionaires in Nigeria. There were 23 centimillionaires, like you have hundreds of millions of US dollars. So there were only 23 centimillionaires in Nigeria, and in 2023, there were only 3 billionaires in Nigeria. So what's the probability? The probability of being like a millionaire, USD millionaire, is like taking into account that our population is 220 million. That's the calculation that I used. Your probability of being a millionaire in Nigeria is 0.004%. Like
fucking hell, bro.
0.004%. It's not 1% though. It's not 0.1% though. It's not even 0.01%.
And we have a millionaire among us. You put know how important this podcast, and we already found one among us. Like you push need to know how important this podcast is.
So how many zero?
There's 2 zeros before the 4. 2 zeros before the 4. If you want to be a centimillionaire, the probability of a Nigerian being a centimillionaire, there are 4 zeros in front of the 1. 0.00001%. They don't score. Oh, they don't score.
Jesus Christ, bro.
Wait, guy, why you give me spoilers? I'm 1 minute behind
Musa, why are you doing this now? Musa, why are you doing this now?
They have not scored, I'm joking. Why?
Okay, it's a lie. They scored. You are doing all this thing that daddy used to do in the past. They'll tell you, oh, I didn't buy the juice, so like I bought it, let me go to the car and get it. Then they'll not go and buy it.
It was a penalty. It was a penalty. Like people, because like it's Spain now. Everybody on
spoilers now. Yeah, 1 minute behind. Don't talk about the
match. Like people are shouting now. So I thought because everybody watching the match, everybody in Spain is freaking watching the match. Anyways,
except
I'm watching the match now.
I like we're honest.
What?
See, please don't talk about it. Please don't talk about the game, please. I'm 1 minute behind. Thank you.
The probability of being a billionaire, you have 5 zeros, and then there's a 2. So 0.00002%. Basically, if you want to be a millionaire, centimillionaire in US dollars or not naira, or a billionaire in Nigeria, see, it's the same as you are a miracle. Literally. It's the same as
you're a glitch
in the system. You have escaped the matrix.
To bring it down to this thing, layman's terms, I mean, 1 second, we know what 1 second is, right? A million seconds is like 30 minutes, 1 hour. 1 second is 36 years. I can borrow 1K from EGOP, but the gap between 1K and 1M is the same gap between 1M and 1 billion. So no matter where you are in the world, actually, you're an outlier if you manage to enter the billion gap.
You say that
that's not layman terms. There's no layman in that.
Come on, you're here, man. Come on. Okay, like I said.
Say that again. I'm layman. I didn't understand. Okay. Say that again.
1 second. You know what 1 second is now in terms of time?
Yeah.
1 million seconds is roughly 30 minutes. 1 billion seconds is around 38 years.
Jesus Christ.
It's easy for me to borrow 1K from EGOP. Like, let's bring it down to Naira. Say, EGOP, I can borrow 1K from you, Abby.
Yeah.
It's a whole different story if I ask EGOP to borrow me 1M. The same gap between that 1K and 1M is the same gap between 1M and 1 billion. So no matter the currency, if you enter the threshold of the billionaire, you're an outlier, no matter where you are on this planet.
No, but like for Nigeria, even to be a millionaire,
you're already an outlier.
Yeah, you are like a huge outlier because it's 0.004%.
And then the probability of being a billionaire is exponentially lower than that.
Yeah, it has 5 zeros.
The gap between that 0.004% and 0.005 is bigger than that probability of being a billionaire you just mentioned by a lot.
Jesus Christ, this guy.
I don't need billion to buy Bugatti. I just want
real though.
On my week.
But still, you need millions now. Like Musa, like guy, like this thing that Musa just told me now, I'll be this thing we just finished talking about. It's just putting me in this position where I'm like,
Which thing?
bro, like, do you like all these billion stuff? Like, do you know how much of a glitch you are in a system like this? Like, do you know what it takes to be a mistake? Like, you are that beans that enter the pot because you hit the edge of the pot and landed somewhere else.
How?
It's not depressing. It's not depressing. I'm putting it into perspective.
Next
Please,
episode,
you're not.
to bring a therapist on this podcast.
Please look at
the pot. How?
Yes. What he's saying, like he's saying that like your chances of being a centibillionaire in Nigeria, right, is 0.004%.
No,
that means like
millionaire.
Millionaire.
$1 million US dollars.
$1 million US dollars is 0.004.
1 million to 99 million US dollars. Your chances is 0.004%. Centimillionaire is even more. Billionaire is even more.
Are you fucking kidding me? 0.004%. Yeah, it's like you're trying to pour beans inside pots to cook, and then one beans mistakenly hits the edge of the pot. You know how thin the edge of the pot is? One bean hits the edge of that pot and bounces out of the fire, right? And lands back into the bowl and then goes back under the decks.
Wait.
You are that mistake.
I feel like this is a Yoruba adage you're trying to translate for.
Like,
is it true?
No, it is not. As someone who is Yoruba,
okay, we have Wale here.
Oh, it's you representing the Yorubas, you deny ego.
Yes. we can send him over to the middle belt.
Motherfuckers.
Shego doesn't send it. Yoruba accepted him.
Please don't call Shego. Thank you. Don't call Shego in this issue. Yeah, so Musa, your week. Let's be done with it and move on.
I think I don't remember what happened to my week.
All right. So
I had a podcast, but besides that, I had a podcast. I finished reports. The standard reports podcast, basically.
Oh, now you stay alone. Most of your children are not around.
Yeah, my children have gone. Oh my god.
They went to your ex-wife.
They went to the motherland.
They brought them back here to straighten them up, rough, tidy all the edges.
The funny part is that those children in their mind, they think they're going to Nigeria for vacation until they stay there after SS3. I go back for 2 weeks vacation. For them.
You'll just be like, Musa, they'll just stay there. Kukuma just do SS1, SS3.
No, those children are young. They'll finish primary school. Then finish
primary school. They are going to be 5 in October.
They have a long way to go. They'll adapt. They are going
but they are okay now. They are Spanish citizens. So
exactly now.
Their life suffering has reduced by half.
Exponentially, which one is half? Like 90%.
Oh my god.
My week, what happened in my week? My week, I finally got work. Let me use that phrase without casting myself. Yes, so they've just been keeping me alive here at this my new job. But now this week, I can tell you that for once in my life, I experienced the art of thinking and debugging, which I've not done in over a year.
Wow, that says a lot.
Yeah. No, I've been a student. I've been researching. I've been doing other things, but to actually do work with pressure and all that kind of things, I don't get stress for that thing. Then what else? Yeah, please, I need what happened to that soundboard? A new paper was published. The paper title is like Jonah. So I go keep on talking to Professor Komot. The paper title is for those that don't know, just search my name on Google and you'll see me there. You understand? The paper title is, exactly. So the paper title is Integration of Decentralized Finance in the US Supply Chain Finance, the opportunities, challenges, and future prospects. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that I am quite qualified to be talking to you on a podcast. Thank you.
Yes, nice. He has a degree to back it up.
See, this last week was Friday. We know they play. We kill them all of us.
They try come on Matrix before.
God, this Matrix team go come out time. Their papa. Then so yeah, that's my week in summary. I was meant to actually be somewhere this weekend getting shit faced down.
Here we go.
But here I am today. I want to go 3 days sober. That was the plan, but it did not happen.
I do sacrifice for this podcast.
So huge sacrifice for that is the biggest sacrifice. Last week I sacrificed 3 parties. This week I sacrificed the whole weekend of getting drunk.
Oshe Isaac.
I'm in my 20s. If I don't get drunk now, when will I? So
Yeah, you get drunk later on. There's always a chance to get drunk.
No.
Yeah,
I don't want to beat my pikin. I don't follow now.
No, you guys can do an experiment. You be like, hey kid, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to pretend like I'm drunk. It may sound or look real, but just know I'm acting in a movie. And then, just keep drinking.
Not the funny part. Ego children will listen to
This
this.
motherfucker has thought of this thing before.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
This is not the first time.
No way, that just
Intrusive thoughts one.
My kids would be like, oh shit, that time that daddy was, I'm like, shh, no louder.
we went from American accent to Ife.
Anyway, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice. So to get back into the AI shit now. So Musa, kickstarted with your documents that you've been reading for a while now. This guy open folder, get book in front of him.
Yeah, exactly. iPad.
You don't buy iPad again?
No, not easy.
Okay.
Yeah, how is much bigger than mine?
That's what she said.
It only took Ego 10 years to time it well. I'm proud of you.
Guy, I always get it well. I always do.
Actually,
it's quite bigger than mine.
As compensation, I would tell you about time it well. Situational awareness. Essentially, the essay is situational awareness by Leopold Aschenbrenner. I already made reference to it earlier in the podcast, but it's about the decade ahead, right? And so, what's the hypothesis generally of that he's trying to convey in this particular essay? He's trying to state that we're actually at a time whereby we have to start asking serious questions as regards, what is the possible trajectory of these AI models, especially when you consider, the present, progresses by, Meta, Google, Alphabet, OpenAI, Microsoft, etc. And basically, the entire argument is trying to state can be summarized into a statement that he makes, which is basically he claims that it's strikingly plausible, that's it's strikingly possible that by 2027 models will be able to do the work of an AI researcher and engineer. And the entire paper, right, goes into this process of trying to present arguments as to why he thinks this is a possibility. But before that, there's a graph where he shows the different progress levels of artificial intelligence. And he starts it the graph is on the horizontal axis, there's the timestamp from 2018 to 2028. And on the vertical axis, there's the effective compute, right? Effective compute scale. So from 2018 to 2018, right, the GPT had the knowledge, GPT-2 had the knowledge of a preschooler. Then when we get to around 2021, about 2019, 2021, GPT-3 had the knowledge of an elementary schooler. And then, of course, by 2023, we have GPT-4. And GPT-4, right, compute is about a smart high schooler. And what he's saying is that if you take into account the particular progress, take into account the years, right, that it took for GPT-2 to grow from a preschooler to an elementary schooler, and then from GPT-3 to go from an elementary schooler to a smart high schooler, right? So there's in 4 years, GPT-3 from an elementary schooler became as smart as a smart high schooler in 4 years, from 2019 to 2023. And so he states and he presents an argument that in the next 4 years, he believes that this scale of jump will occur again, whereby we will basically jump from a GPT-4 that is a smart high schooler to by 2027, 2028, we will have models that do the work of AI researchers and AI engineers So obviously, like there'll be automated AI and AI engineers. Like that's the basic argument. I'll just like state certain things to just like try and back up some of the things that he's stating. So one thing that he states, right, that like is a challenge for the present models today that he feels like it's going to, like that if solved, will allow for a further efficiency of the model is this thing that he calls unhobbling. So hobbling technically means that, you know, when we are as human beings now, if they give you math question, how you solve a math question is basically, oh, let me think about, like, I'll write down the steps first. There's step 1, step 2, step 3, except your bash that you just give your answer like that. But yeah, okay, Kere. Even Shego Jesus, you guys are bloody smart in this call. Jones, hey.
Shut up. I just knew you were gonna call my name. Like for some reasons, I was looking at you with my eye and I'm like, this guy is gonna look at me and say shit. Fuck you. Fuck you.
No, they're actually like
your ears.
They're actually like mass wizards here.
Yes, now like everybody here at the top, like Bash top of class, Prince, Shego, you, me, I'm top of class too, but not academic class. I'm top of class. You know, another class. Shut up.
So, anyways, like so, of course, like using the math example again, we like when you're solving a math question, right? They give you like they present, oh, I don't know, differentiation or integer or even like basic multiplication. The first thing you do is to like do a step-by-step process, and you think by yourself, you know, like what will I do here? I've encountered like a challenge. What formula do I need? Or what kind of calculation do I need, right, to go to the next step, right? You think about it like on a chain of thought basis, right? This thought leads to the next thought, blah, blah, blah. And therefore, you arrive at your answer. The problem like that we have with the AI models today is that like when you ask it a question, it gives you the first thing that comes to his mind. So like, it's like, it gives you like a stream of consciousness opinion, not a thoughtful opinion, like not an opinion that it has thought about and therefore presents it to you as a response, right? Because obviously, you ask a question, 5 minutes, boom. I say 5 minutes, 10 seconds, boom, it has given you a response, right? Because they are getting, like the way they think is not the same way that human beings think. What are the potential consequences, according to Leopold, like of this kind of process? Well, the potential consequences is that it will not be able to do certain tasks, right, that are like long-term project based, right? Because at the end of the day, when we start to like think about what potential areas can we use artificial intelligence for to improve efficiency, especially like within businesses and like, you know, most especially like I would say software organizations like SaaS guys, all these kind of people. And he states that if you are able to like, so if the companies are able to like solve the problem of being able to tell an AI, right? Because now everything exists on a chart. If I tell it like the memory exists on a chart, but what if I tell an AI, go and do this work. And like in 2 months or 4 months, as like the AI can go off, wander, do whatever it wants, think, and then come back. And the information I gave it 4 months ago can be recalled in line with the particular deliverable for that particular project that I want, right? So this is what Leopold is saying, that unhobbling an AI is getting an AI to the position that it does what human beings do. So if they give Bash, for example, a project to work on, like, you know, like if you want to build a database, for example, right, you will go and spend like a month trying to think about how will I do this the most efficient way possible, right? Like, how will I organize the data? Like, how will I, first of all, what kind of data am I working with? What kind of data would the person be using? And like, what is the best way to deliver this particular thing? That process of iteration and thinking and going back and forth, right, takes an entire month. And of course, like an AI today cannot solve that. What he now says that like is, you know, so like this is a huge challenge to get to that step. He believes that if you get to that step, the possibilities are endless. When you now think about, okay, what's the implication of this particular unhobbling, right? You think about, okay, what makes them not be able to do this thinking process as us today? One of the things that he states is like the data wall. So essentially, models are using up all the data that could potentially be used to train itself. Right. And like there's just a limitation into like what, like how much, like the kind of data that can be used again. Like everybody has used up usable data in quotes, right? And so how can you train a model from like with more data is a question. Like he did not categorically give an answer, but he states like this is a huge problem that like will occur, and like that might limit this particular progress in the long run. Another thing he states is that, okay, when you actually think about like what is the role of an AI researcher and an AI engineer, well, pragmatically speaking, an AI researcher and AI engineer just reads papers and basically provides new ways to like solve ideas, right? He reads papers and he's like, oh, I've discovered a problem, right, in this particular approach or that particular approach. And like that person now, okay, thinks about, okay, how can we do this more efficiently? And then writes another paper suggesting this is the way to go. And of course, like based on whatever idea or whatever solution that a particular AI researcher has proposed, the necessary company that wants that solution will pick it up and run with it, etc. And potentially give you a job or you're head of head of AI research in the company. Yeah, he says that the problem that this will have, right, for AIs is that, first of all, when you consider, okay, if we have an artificial, like if this is the role of an automated AI researcher, which is what he calls, like the potential state of these models, right, 2027, 2028, what exactly should we think about? We should think about the fact that, like, well, human beings read papers, like, and even the fastest human beings, perhaps like, well, how many papers we read in a day? 2, 3, if you're efficient, right? And that takes time. Reading papers takes time scientifically. But like these guys have access to all the possible papers that are available at a stretch, right? And so, and like, of course, their test time for them to like, their test time and their ability to, at a spot, know if an idea will work will be much more faster than like current AI researchers, just because they have more available information. There's a particular guy that he mentions. He's currently, I want to call the name out because I think you guys will know him. He's currently one of the top guys in OpenAI.
What Musa is saying might be the scariest shit I've heard in the past 5 years, but keep talking. This is like a horror podcast. I'm telling you, because the main good part for us is like AI doesn't have intuition, but now that you think about it, AI can actually research due to the library available. My counter argument is that it cannot do experimentation. What are you saying, Bash?
Precisely. And what I'm going to say is that with what he said, like, he's kind of on point and he's actually correct, but what he considered like a minor limitation for the AI models to jump, I consider it a very, very major one. Because if we look at the way these AIs work, it kind of models the way human beings think to a large extent. It's just like, let me say, a knockoff copy of the way the human brain functions. That's what neural networks are. And that's the reason why, like, when we were in secondary school, there was this, I think, milk joke that we used to go around, that you say milk 5 times, what do cows drink milk? Because that pattern matching and pattern recognition is the exact thing that goes on in your brain, which is why we have so many folds. But the bigger difference to me is like the processing power and capability. Subconsciously, the average human, without trying, that's if you go through a normal day, you're not, trying to be productive, maybe a lazy day of yours, you're going to take in 78 gig of data a day from all your 5 senses. And this is not something, and aside this, a human brain operates 24/7 and can operate with as low as 14 watts of power. I don't think you can process 78 gig of data with something like that anytime soon for it to be able to match, a human's ability to think and gain that extra step to jump to sentience. If they figure out a way to do this with Silicon Life, then yeah, they'll be able to jump through that hobbling stage. But for now, I feel like it's a huge step that they're not going to climb anytime soon.
If they cross that bridge, we are scientifically fucked. Significantly.
And literally fucked as well.
Human beings today are technically fucked still, because like a lot of people, like, so we are talking about like this, like an automated AI researcher breaking the bottlenecks of the current smartest guys that exist.
And I want to bring back something that Prince said. I was going to bring it up at this point, but like he had already said it earlier. he said the AI can never outperform the data it's trained on, right? So at best, an AI replacing you is them just replacing you with a
Replacing
statistically
average
worker
researchers.
that can produce statistically average information in real time.
Thank you.
So if
basically,
you're someone who is a standout, exactly.
AI will remove commonality. So if AI can replace,
AI will remove commonality, and the only way for you to actually be a threat is if you are genuinely and generically mid at what you do.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
So, for example,
you shouldn't be getting out of your job.
A lot of research, plenty researches are just more of like summary and looking back into the past materials and trying to read through them. Like most of the rubbish people do in literature school, reading back Hamlet again and again. They don't die over 200 years. They read Hamlet.
Okay, one more thing.
It makes no sense. AI will take it. But the next Mona Lisa, AI cannot do that because the next it is something that wasn't average. So why we have is that most people are average. If you are in anything you do, if you are a level above, something has not been seen before, AI cannot outperform the data it's trained on. So basically, we are still fucked, but like there's a hope for it.
Also, something that Musa said from the article was that they started in like 2022. With the intelligence of like a primary school student. By 2024, it has the intelligence of a high schooler. Let's not forget, OpenAI was founded in 2015. So we can't use a linear trajectory to assume that, okay, by 2026, they're going to be at this point, because the development process is not linear. It's never been linear with humans when we are actually growing up, because there are points where you're going to be, far more intelligent than you've ever been in your life. And there are points where, dementia comes in, Parkinson, and you're a lot slower. So we can't just say that, by 2026, definitely, since we're growing at this rate, it's going to be this, because the hurdles that they are jumping are not the same. To get to that GPT-3 level that they produced then, they went from 2015 to 2022. That was 7 years. The fact that they were able to, bounce off that platform in 2 years isn't necessarily an indicator that they'll continue, bouncing on that same graph and making everything, more smooth and more easy like that. 4.0 is great. I mean, they've included, visual processing, and they've allowed it to have its own voice. But how many more senses are we going to put in? And is it also going to be linear? I don't think so. That's one for me. How do you statistically meet for AI to replace you?
Yeah, I've never thought about that before. So this is thank you for joining our podcast today. Thank you. Musa said we analyze this guy just talk. It makes sense too, because there might be a next challenge, a next hurdle that might take another 5 years, another 20 years of research for it to reach that state. So we don't know what that is right now, but because they are boosting right now, there's obviously a tipping point. That is basically what I'm trying to say.
And Prince, thank you. The fact that we don't know what that is right now means that there's no data.
In what regard?
No. For example, when all these mathematical models came out, 90s, a lot of things happened in the 90s. Like I was reading some history book about these models. So everything from counting cards to all the Betty models, to all the quant models, all the stock models, all of them started around, let's say, 1930s. It was about like 30 years time that there was a lot of advancement. The same way when Alan Turing go by, when he created this thing, there was a period that there was a lot of advancement, next generation, that generation. But when we reach our generation according to computer science, see how many years it took us before we broke AI. So the AI is right now, but there will be a point that it will still be advancing, but it wouldn't be as fast. There might be another point of research before somebody
that they're advancing in a straight line. Musa, don't forget, before GPT-3 came out, OpenAI was founded in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
GPT-3 came out 7 years later in 2022. And between that 2022 and now, they've moved faster, but it's no assurance that they're going to keep on moving and booming in that same trajectory, because there are always going to be unknown obstacles climbing the next step. And the fact that the people who are feeding in this data, don't know these obstacles means that there's no data to train any model on for it to become a better AI researcher.
So the argument that he gives, the particular name I was even looking for, I don't know if you guys know him, is Alec Radford. who's like one of the smartest guys in an OpenAI anyways. And he says that technically speaking, what will happen is that, so imagine you have 100 bash in your company working 247, or you have 100 KK in your company working 247. That's madness. Like, but it's more than even 100. It's like 10 million of bashes and KKs that are in your company, right? All the time working 247. So of course, if this is the kind of system that you have, at the end of the day, right, the challenges that we think about, they think about it in 10 million better. How will I say it? Like, they think about it, first of all, jointly, and they're able to see it before we even think about the problem as a problem.
This guy has 147,000 citations.
Who? Alec Radford.
Right. Has 147.
Is it Alec Radford?
Yeah, no, Alec Radford, 147.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying now.
Citations.
That's why he gives his example, because the guy is very
published since 2020. Since 2021, he has not published anything since 2021. His last paper has 18,000 citations.
147K.
Let me, for context, if every citation I get, I celebrate. Like, for example, I got this paper that I bought myself a watch. The week before, I got citations. I got myself wine. Like, you have to be proud. His citation means that you publish a paper, but it's reviewed by fucking professionals you don't know, and then they tell you it is good enough. You pay them, they finally release the publication. Now, somebody in fucking Slovenia wants to do research and they read your work. They happen to find your work. They read it and it was so useful that they want to collect some of your ideas and they have to reference you. When they reference you, it will now pass through that whole process and then they pay a significant amount. Then it is published. So when it is published and the reason why their work is this good is because of they referenced you, they like what you said so well. That is what is one citation. That is one paper in which people put here together for one paper. For context, I have one of my papers has 4 citations and that is within a month. I am so fucking proud of myself that 4 people from around the world happen to, a lot of people read it, but 4 people like the knowledge so much that they've written about it. You get, added it, passed that whole process, and it was cited. 4 citations. My breakdown already big. This guy has 1,000 citations. In case you know the magnitude, I hope you understand that. Thank you. Whatever I say, I can never argue against
anything against him.
At 147,000 citations, he's correct. He's also rich. He's very correct.
Yes,
thank you.
Exactly. I don't have the right to say to counter any argument he makes.
I don't even argue with himself.
I am not legally smart enough.
Imagine like this kind
the fact that OpenAI Blue added to his credibility, making people to cite him more because he's part of the team. And on his ResearchGate, I'm seeing he's verified by OpenAI email. So obviously people want to cite people for OpenAI, but I don't care whether there's a hidden factor or that factor. 147,000. Exactly. How many researchers are in the world? So I respect him right now. Please, I apologize for any of my mistakes and errors.
Juvenile speaking.
I take his word as scriptures.
No. So the person that wrote the essay is not Alec Radford.
Okay.
Light the fire. I'm ready to fight.
We're back to the battlefield.
This guy, this Mopol guy too is a smart guy. Like he's currently like 20 or like 21 or 20 something. Like he's in his early 20s, and he's currently like working at OpenAI. Just to tell you, like, his own caliber too. But obviously, like, he's making reference to like the potential of what an automated AI researcher will be. Taking into account what we know about Alec Radford, it will be like 10Kx the efficiency of an Alec Radford.
Okay, we're fucked now.
So, technically speaking, what he's now trying to say is that, so the challenges that Bash, for example, says, right? Should we get a system like this? Those guys is like somebody that has a PhD in mathematics. Okay, not even a PhD in mathematics. Let's imagine a William Shakespeare. Like you're trying to understand a text, like a book. Like William Shakespeare trying to understand a book versus a GS3 student trying to understand like a book. The difference is clear, and that is how the systems will be compared to us. Like they are William Shakespeare's to us being just as 3 students.
But the reason why William Shakespeare is not because he had the brain capacity of William Shakespeare or he knew the past of William Shakespeare. It's because he had the idea to think of what didn't exist. Galileo was thinking of fucking helicopters 500 years before time. And AI cannot do that.
Speaking, if you unhobble the system, like, again, that's where I started from, right? Which was one of the things that he said that would lead to this progress. If you unhobble the system and there's chain of thought processing for these computer systems, they are technically doing the thinking that human beings will do. Because you put a project for them and you're like,
they're not thinking.
There's no intuition. You cannot be better than the data is trained on.
I don't know, Musa. I don't know how to word it because I don't know what OpenAI are cooking up right now. Whether they
can actually make us wrong.
But what these AIs are doing and what the neural networks are doing is pattern matching based on probability. When you type in a prompt or you're asking it a question, it's taking the words and it forms like a vector. You understand? A multi-dimensional vector. If you pick 3 words, probably points in a 3D vector. So if you ask it a word, maybe your fave analyst, and the way it has been trained, when it sees your fave analyst, it should return Musa. So it picks them, and returns what it has already been trained to give back in that vector form. So it's not really thinking per se. It's using probability to know what to say.
The present system
words together and brought together. You understand? That's why a lot of the time, the models will give you the wrong answers or outdated answers.
Yeah,
that's the way
it cannot think. Even after it cannot think, it can't logically think because.
And then, Musa, one more thing, Musa. I told you that. I think I mentioned it earlier that if you have a lazy day, you're doing nothing. You're just having your casual day or something. With your brain alone, like your cerebrum alone, this is excluding your sense of feel, your sense of sight, everything else. You're going to ingest and process 78 gig of data on your own while running on 14 watts throughout. That's what your brain is going to run on. Like for comparison, a regular PC runs on between 140 to 160 watts. That's just my PC here alone. If it's a laptop so might be smaller to be like 80. And we all know that these things are not going to process 78 gig worth of
So I think qualitatively speaking, Bash, like the comparison is not the same. Why? Because human beings processing information, like we're taking into account the fact that we are not using brain power in per se. Like I am not sitting down when I'm processing and thinking about a particular problem, or like I'm not sitting down, I'm like trying to imagine things or like trying to come up with solutions. No, but the entire purpose of these things is to come up with solutions to a particular problem. Like they exist in quotes to ensure that a solution is found for the problem that I give them.
But Musa, here's the thing. You understand? Like Prince said earlier again, and I think I'm going to quote him again and again. Your model cannot do better than the data it's being trained on. So a lot of the time, what AI researchers are going to encounter as time goes on are generic problems that have never been solved before.
It can replace researchers, but if you are among the 1% that think of something new.
Yes, that think of something new. Those are the guys.
These are 10,000 systems of AI researchers working together in a particular data lab. Like, I understand where you guys are coming from that, human beings are these creative things.
But that's the thing, Musa. It's sentience that I know that numerically gives you the advantage. If you're going to put in, tons of systems running on so much data and all, they are all going to give you almost the exact same answer, and it's not really going to add up to anything.
Yeah. I think what Musa is saying right now is that
don't have power in numbers, to be honest.
It goes back to what Egop said beginning of the episode about designer. There's one Dadio researcher where in mind they go places, they go universities, they go dimensions. And his team, instead of people like you and I, is AI people. He's steering them in the right direction. That sounds like a threat. That sounds like what Musa is saying. But if you are saying, I'm not seeing any human factor as the spearhead, then obviously I don't agree.
No, like,
that's what I'm saying.
Wait, technically speaking, when we're even saying automated AI researchers, many human beings will never even know these things. Like, they'll never interface it because the kind of, the companies, they are not what you, like, functioning with these systems in the company's opinion, right? So it is the Alec Radfords that have these systems and Alec Radfords that use these systems to achieve particular tasks. So imagine an Alex Radford in himself having the possibility to try and solve, because they exist in data labs now. Who is building it? So when AI researchers want to find like a solution to a problem, they deploy, for example, even my own analysis, when I want to run certain, the final insights that I want to see, GPT-4 cannot give me the insights relevant for the particular thing I am looking for, like the particular report I'm trying to talk about. Like the insight is very like minimal because I'm trying to say a story that is not necessarily possible for GPT-4 to say. But if me now having GPT-4, I have the possibility to prompt, because all of us at this point are basically like prompt engineers at the end of the day. I have the possibility to prompt GPT to allow my work to be much more efficient. Like instead of me, for example, like, cleaning all the data by myself. No, I would prompt it, clean the data this way, organize the columns this way, and like give me back what I need to do. And then when I'm now doing my own analysis, like visualizing, blah, 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 and then writing the insights from the reports, so that work time has cut by half. So imagine that AI researchers have 10,000 people like themselves.
Now AI researcher
like
in
processing. What?
Now AI researcher in them that in conclusion.
Now the AI, no, because the AI researcher is the intern, but he has the better capacity for now.
Yes.
Prompt. The only difference between the two things is that the AI researcher can prompt this particular.
Let me say this now. So I was researching how Sora AI works, and there's one very interesting part of how Sora AI works is now when you give Sora AI is basically OpenAI tool that generates video. So now it's built and it generates video in patches, meaning it reduces everything to a pixel and then it generates everything by a pixel method. And each pixel, right, is cropped up into another box called patches. And that's how it generates it by like video and makes everything into one frame, right? Now each frame has multiple patches inside. Now, and each frame is like a picture, a movie, picture, like a video is a moving picture, basically. So what and how this works is when time you give it, hey, I want a man on a chair with a black microphone and a silver head and the black hose on top is, and he has shirts and he's a black man. Now what this AI does is it takes that description, it goes back into its database, before it goes back into its database, right? It reprompts exactly what you have given it to a more specific detail of what it thinks you are referring to. Now, it just adds more detail to it. It's like, I've heard somebody ask for a black man before. Most black men have
probability batch in that batch said now.
Most black men have beards, and then he attached beards. Like now, you are not seeing that. You're not seeing that layer, right? So it goes and attaches beards. Like, I'll attach beards. He now says, black man sitting with beards facing left or looking whitish or looking blackish. The black man has a white background. He reprompts it itself and then goes into his database and generates you an image. Now you just gave it 1 or 2 lines. It has given itself 2 paragraphs. Now this is basically
like at a basic level that is a form of thinking.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. I that's what I said. So Musa, I'd already mentioned that is a form of thinking. Neural networks are built to imitate the way we assume human brains work right now. The difference now is
the
difference now is the processing power and ability right now, where we are still light years ahead. But
I was generating picture like for my professional picture. This last thing I'll say for my IG, the picture you see on my IG on my LinkedIn is actually AI generated.
Is what?
AI generated. I sent it a lot of pictures of mine for it to generate pictures. That is my research gate is an AI generated picture on my LinkedIn. I just wanted to do that. Why not? And so when it's in generated pictures, I told it I want suit, corporate kind of nonsense. I put my face. Now, if say I be white person, you go see all of them they get better suits. For me, as a black man, every generation they give me tattoo for neck. They give me
Prince.
Now
that was an issue in 2022.
That's what Elon Musk said now.
That's an issue in 2022 that
because
we
it's
know.
being trained now is what you
It's
cannot
being
do more
trained
than
on
training.
data of white men more.
Exactly.
Almost like there's a chance that the black men, the people who are training these things,
They
are
putting
racist.
bad data, so it's
Exactly.
quite
The people who are training these things are probably racist. So the AI itself becomes a racist.
So now, with that said, like, let's talk about ethics and how to stay strong. Like, and now we're approaching the end now. 4 minutes left. Let's talk about ethics and how to stay strong. Like, basically, what would you? These arguments would need to go on at a certain point. We need to have another discussion on this. But let's say briefly.
I think ethics,
what do you guys?
can be a full episode, sir, because ethics
Okay, let's talk about like. What do you guys think is the best way to? Because everybody's like, oh, find a way that doesn't work. Find a way that works for you. What do we predict is the way? Everyone should give their own individual prediction of this is the best way to resist or not get lost. This is your own individual prediction.
I'll say two things.
Sorry, Bash, before you answer, like I want to understand the question properly. Like
your question, like, this boy, context. The question here, Musa, the question here I'm asking.
To talk about ethics. Ethics is a very big
It's not
thing.
ethics. It's not ethics. I'm talking about Musa.
Governance.
Reiterate your question.
Prince. I'm saying that there's no time. I'm saying that you guys, tell me what you guys believe is the best way to stay relevant in this space.
That's not ethics now. Exactly. That's why I'm even asking.
Ethics now. We say ethics is another discussion.
We're not discussing ethics. Ethics is another series.
Okay.
I'll say two things. First of all, you need to be outstanding in your own sector, whatever you're doing. Because like we said now, it's just an average person in real time. So you need to be above average. Secondly, try and sell your sentience. That's
it's
what
actually better than average, like we said earlier. It's better than random person. So you have to
but you need to be outstanding. You need to be better than average. You need to be outstanding. Then secondly, if you can't be better than average, sell your sentience. That's what we're doing right here in the podcast. Selling our sentience.
That was a very scary way to put it. Musa, please, do you have anything that will not fear me this night? That was very scary.
No, wait, you that you want to build AI.
Musa, what's your own jobs? This boy.
We have 1 minute left.
Your own way.
Anyways, for me, it's like at the end of the day, it's really understanding first of all, like your stuff. Like know your stuff better than anybody that you possibly know. Like I think that's the challenge you should have for yourself at every whatever you're doing. Oh, you're a finance person, oh you're into data. Like know that particular thing better than any other person. Because bottom line is that, well, at the end of the day, like the jobs that are being taken, like you can't take AIs will not take decision-making positions at least.
At all, never.
Like decision-making positions.
Sell your sentience. That's what I just said.
So it's not going to touch it for now. I mean, like I do believe that perhaps like the next 10, 15 years.
Congratulations.
What?
Wind that down. So thank you very much, guys. So to cap it all up, I'll tell you this is last week was Friday. We're happy that you listened to this point. Please, we'll do another episode of this. Hopefully a continuation of this. We'll let you know. With that being said, listen to the evening dew. Check link in the description. We are short of time now. I hope to see you next week. To be honest, this conversation will continue. So hope to see you next week. Peace, guys. Thank you very much to all our listeners, and God bless.
God bless.